everybody, and welcome to the CMSportsNet Boys Basketball Game of the Week. We've got Westminster and Winters Mill live from Westminster High School. Before we get to the game, it's time for our pregame report.
The pregame report is sponsored by Genova's To Go. Locations in Westminster, Manchester, Hampstead, Hanover, and coming soon, Eldersburg. Genova's, pizza, pasta, subs, and more.
I'm Pat Stoetzer, and once again, welcome to CMSportsNet's Game of the Week. Tonight we've got a Carroll County Athletic League boys basketball game between city rivals Winters Mill and Westminster. And returning to our studio is Dave Herman, former boys basketball coach at both Westminster and Winters Mill High Schools. Dave, thanks so much for joining us once again for Game of the Week.
My pleasure.
It's been a challenging year for both these teams this winter, and January wasn't the best for the Falcons or the Owls, but we're about to see these two teams face off for the second time this season. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Carroll County Athletic League standings. You'll see Winters Mill 7-11 and 5-5 in the county. They ended a 4-game losing streak when they defeated Manchester Valley last week. On earlier this week, 54-45. Westminster is 6-12 and 3-6 in the county. They did hand Liberty their first county loss on Tuesday, 60-57, and that game came at home. Dave, you're familiar with this rivalry. You've been on both sidelines for this matchup. What's the clash for the city like when these two get together from that standpoint?
It's really good for the kids. These rivalry games, I think, is a lot more about the kids than the coaches. They've played against these guys. They know them.
Right.
There's always a little more urgency, to what they're doing regardless of the records. It gives the kids really something to play for at the end of the year, even if maybe their overall record isn't what they want it to be. So, I think you're going to see a really good game. Two teams coming off a big win.
Yeah, definitely. Both, we'll talk about that as we go along. The struggles, though, have come on offense from both squads. When you take a look at the team stats, you can see the Falcons and Owls sort of stack up shooting-wise with each other. But, pretty close in points per game. Really across the board, they're very close. Winters Mill a little bit better in free throw shooting, I think. So far this winter. How important will it be in this game for both of these teams coming off those wins to establish themselves on offense?
Yeah, I think, you look at Winters Mill. Winters Mill really emphasizes the defensive end. So yeah. Westminster's going to have to hit some shots, early. Both teams have a really good post presence that they can go to, have some good guards as well. But, in seeing these teams, they've had trouble scoring at times. So I think the team that can, sounds very simplistic, but a team that can hit shots early and prove that they can put the ball in the basket, obviously it's going to be a huge advantage.
Yeah. You mentioned guards and you mentioned their post players as well. There have been some positives for these guys on both sides, Westminster and Winters Mill. Each squad features a standout player in the backcourt. Two of them are our matchup of the game, and that's Winters Mill senior Dallas Johnson and Westminster senior Chance Burns. Burns leads the county in steals per game, and he's tied for the top in assists. And Johnson isn't too far behind in either of those things, and I think they're both averaging over 10 points a game. What are you looking forward to when it comes to those guys guard-wise? We talked a little bit before we even got on the air about how ball handling is key, but what are you looking forward to the most with Johnson and Burns?
Right. I think the key for Winters Mill and for Dallas Johnson is to not turn the ball over. He's very solid with the ball, good defender, runs the offense very well. So I think for Winters Mill overall, the key is not to turn the ball over and get a shot at the basket every single trip. On Westminster side, Chance Burns scores well, and he scores in flurries. Like sometimes you'll watch him and he may not score for a quarter, and then all of a sudden, he gets 10. So he shoots the ball well. I think in order for Westminster to win the game, I think he's got to score.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. We're going to take a quick break and come back with the starting lineups, and the national anthem and the opening tip is just a moment away or two. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Skill, dedication, leadership. Just a few of the things it takes to be named CMSportsNet's Athlete of the Week. Each week, CMSportsNet recognizes an outstanding player for their contribution to their sport. Meet some of Carroll County student athletes and join us as we celebrate their performance, impact, and outstanding accomplishments. The CMSportsNet Athlete of the Week is sponsored by Genova's To Go, locations in Westminster, Manchester, Hampstead, Hanover, and coming soon, Eldersburg. Genova's To Go, pizza, pasta, subs, and more.
What does it take to cover local high school sports? It takes staff and volunteers, equipment, training, and community support from people like you. You can help by making a donation to the Community Media Center today. Your gift is an investment in our community, our schools, and most of all, our student athletes. We want to expand our coverage to include both boys and girls sports, but we can't do it without your help. So please, make your donation today and help us bring high school sports to every screen in Carroll County.
Matt Madness as CMSportsNet brings you the best of high school wrestling with live coverage of Carroll County Wrestling Championships. Catch JV on Friday, varsity on Saturday. Plus, join Pat Stoetzer and Michael Duffy for complete coverage of the finals. See who will be named county champions. Watch CMSportsNet's live coverage of the Carroll County Wrestling Championships, February 17th and 18th. We've got you covered.
Hey there, I'm Pat Stoetzer.
And I'm Michael Duffy, inviting you to join us for The Score and more.
It's our new podcast, and each week we'll talk about high school sports in Carroll County. We'll share information about upcoming games, highlight coaches and athletes, and much more.
We'll even try to have a little fun along the way. Don't miss the Score and More podcast presented by CMSportsNet.
The Score and More Sports Podcast is available online at carrollmediacenter.org and on a variety of podcast channels.
All right, welcome back. CMSportsNet Boys Basketball Game of the Week. Pat Stoetzer and Dave Herman ready to bring you Westminster and Winters Mill. Coach, before we see the starting lineups, you did mention the guys in the front court. For Westminster, it's Ja Donald. For Winters Mill, it's Candy McPassey. Two guys that really can grab rebounds for these teams and score. Again, I think McPassey, one of the top scorers in the county. Donald, the leader in rebounds. We mentioned the guard play, but the big men here could play a factor as well.
Absolutely, and I think the biggest thing is getting them the ball. Get him in a position to score, get him the ball in the block, and also both players staying out of foul trouble. I know that's been an issue for both kids this year, but playing really good defense, rebounding the ball, not getting in foul trouble, I think is key.
All right, I think it's time to see the starting lineups. We're going to start with the Winters Mill Falcons, coached by Dave Wynn. Again, Winters Mill coming into this game 7-11 and 5-5 in the county. It's Dallas Johnson, Brandon Taylor, Owen Case, Tommy Hinkhouse, and Candy McPassey, the starting five for Winters Mill. Again, we mentioned Dallas Johnson as one of the players to watch tonight in the guard matchup with him and Chance Burns. And then we'll go ahead and go over to the Westminster side and see their starters here, the starting five for the Owls, who coached by Stephen Burns. They come into the game at 6-12 and 3-6 in county play. And like we said, they did hand Liberty their first loss in county play earlier this week. For the Owls, Chance Burns, Ashton Stewart, and Patrick Haynes, followed by Ja Donald and Kyle Hoot. That's one of the greatest names. If you're in the Westminster Owl and you get a last name Hoot, you're off to a good start. But,
absolutely.
Burns, Stewart, Haynes, Donald, and Hoot for the Owls. Both teams going with sort of the three guard set, and then the two power forwards. So pretty traditional there between Westminster and Winters Mill. The latest rivalry key to the city, whatever you want to call it, the city rivalry game. Winters Mill won the first one earlier this year by double digits. Westminster wants to get some revenge on their home court.
I think it'll be really important early to see, how the teams come out defensively. Traditionally, Winters Mill, Coach Wynn is a heavy man-to-man guy, really going to get up and play aggressive defense. I've seen Westminster play a little bit of zone this year, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
And not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily, Coach, mean that, Johnson and Burns will be on each other the entire time, but, you're going to see those guys sort of matching up on each other, offense and defense. You mentioned the ball handling, and I think, Winters Mill thrives when Dallas Johnson has his hands on the ball in their half-court set and just running the offense. Same with Chance Burns and Westminster, but which one of those guys can sort of rise to the occasion will be a big deal tonight too.
Absolutely, and which guy can guard, stay out of foul trouble. I think both of those players are so important for their teams. I think it really puts in a different variable if they're without their point guard. So very important for those guys to stay on the floor, not pick up cheap fouls.
See Winters Mill starters being announced, and then we'll hear Westminster's, and then we'll have the national anthem. And a few moments later, we will have the opening tip here between Westminster and Winters Mill. When you've got a weapon, Westminster's weapon, a weapon in Jasier Donald that's 6'6", a junior forward. I mean, I know they don't look to him to score as much as they do for Chance Burns, but just being able to have that kind of size under the basket. I mean, he leads the county in rebounds. He's missed a couple games, played a few games less than the other guys, but seeing him grow from the beginning of the season, like you said, he was hampered with some foul trouble early, and then maybe he's kind of got that back on track. So that will be important to see. And I think now we're going to get ready for the national anthem, then we'll get ready for the game. It'll be interesting, Dave, to see, which one of these rivals, like we mentioned in the pregame, which one sets the tone first, whether you want to have this, someone's going to want to go and slow down on offense or pick up the tempo. You mentioned the defensive kind of the stamp that Winters Mill puts on defense. That could be key. Or if you're Westminster and you're Chance Burns and you knock down a couple threes early, it could be one of those starts. It'll be interesting this first few minutes of this first quarter to see how that goes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see also, too, which team wants to establish the inside play. Again, Candy McPassey for Winters Mill, Jasir Donald for Westminster. Which team's going to really make that a point of emphasis to go inside? And you go with the other team's big, you try to pick up fouls, whether that's going to be an emphasis early on.
Donald at 8.7 rebounds per game, leading the county, but McPassey not too far behind him at 6.5 boards. And McPassey has averaging 12.4 points per game, one of the top scorers, like I said, in Carroll County. And it's those two guys that tip it off. And we're going to be underway here. And the home team, Owls, will start first. Just playing some man defense, Coach.
Yep, no surprise there. Coach Wynn is a man-to-man guy. And it's a non-negotiable for if you want to play for Coach Wynn. And
guess who starts us off? It's Kyle Hoot with a three-pointer. And right off the bat, Westminster strikes first. 3-0 Owls. You can hear the crowd hooting for Hoot.
Winters Mill does a real nice job of spreading the floor. McPassey inside, working high-low.
Johnson off the mark. Dallas Johnson and number 1, Chance Burns with the rebound for the Owls. Owls working the ball around the perimeter. Number 1, Chance Burns. Little fake, left-handed layup goes in. Nice drive by Chance Burns.
Very patient, swing the ball one side to the other, get the nice drives, nice move to the basket.
Use the left hand, and it's 5-0 for the home team. Owen Case now at the free throw line. Went up for it, lost it on the way up. And a turnover, and Westminster tried for a fast break, but Chance Burns pulled it back out. Probably a smart decision there, just based on his body with movement on the court. Burns, left hand again, a little too strong. And Dallas Johnson, his backcourt mate, with the rebound.
Nice hit ahead in transition, looking up the floor.
Westminster with the rebound. It's number 5, Ashton Stewart. Now giving it off to Kyle Hoot. Chance Burns will fire for 3. A little strong, and a rebound to Tommy Hinkhouse, number 24. And Winters Mill looking for his first points of the game with 5.5 left in the first quarter. A good start by Westminster, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. A little flex action for Winters Mill.
Nice
down screens, down screens and baseline screens, and get a little penetration.
It's a nice cut along the baseline to get that bucket, and I think they're going to call an offensive foul, maybe for an arm bar. Ashton Stewart. Stewart didn't like it, but it's an offensive foul and a turnover, and Winters Mill will inbound in front of its own bench.
Really nice job sitting down defensively. Defender establishes legal guarding position. If the offensive player initiates contact, then it's an offensive foul. It's a good call.
Little lean-in jumper there. Westminster couldn't quite corral the rebound. You saw Coach Burns, Stephen Burns, coach's lament, right? It's an easy rebound, and it goes off your knee or your shin. And
absolutely, that's a possession you want to have back.
Yep. Or he was disagreeing on but either way, it's a turnover here, and the Owls have the ball back. 5-2, 4:50 left in the first quarter. Burns gets it. Ashton Stewart lost it on the way up, so I guess not a travel there. And Burns will command the ball. Tried to get on the baseline, and a steal by Dallas Johnson, number 1. Well, he tried to thread a bounce pass, and it hit off the leg of John Donald, and so a turnover now. Back come the Owls. Kyle Hoot. to Burns in traffic. Far corner for a three, a little long.
Terrific box out by Winters Mill.
Brandon Taylor
Keeping
gets the
Donald off the
rebound.
boards, terrific job.
They'll take a three. A little strong there, and Hoot using some of that size to get a rebound.
Both teams really relying on the three early. Nice steal.
Sure was. And layup. Count that one for 24, Tommy Hinkhouse. Nice court vision there to get the steal and come with the layup, and it's 5-4. Halfway through the first quarter. Burns will throw it up a three. A little long, Donald the rebound, back to Burns. Oh, I thought he was gonna take another one. Instead he penetrates.
Winters Mill really settling in defensively.
Yep.
Keeping them out of the paint, forcing tough threes.
There's a three that goes in. Give that one to number 5, Ashton Stewart, who used John Donald as his own screen there. A little bit of a hip flexor, and hey, it works. It went down as a three. 8-4 now for the home team Owls.
Winters Mill working a little two-man game there with Dallas Johnson and Candy on the left side of the court.
Called for a travel there, so a turnover. Some substitutions. I see 10 Grayson Bradley and 4 Micah Osgar for the Owls coming in. Some of Steve Burns' reserves.
As I said, both teams relying on a lot of threes early. I think you see that in a rivalry game. Both teams are a little nervous and maybe relying a little bit much on the three. I'm sure both coaches would like to see a little penetration in the basket, get to the foul line.
Yeah, we haven't seen the bigs do their thing just yet, but like you said, maybe the first few minutes trying to settle in with each other here on both sides of the court. Bradley. Osgar will pull up from the free throw line, no good. Rebound by Willie Anye. He takes it himself, but Hinkhouse denies him. Keeps with it and scores. Nice job by Willie Anye, number 14, senior forward, who had a season-high 13 points and 9 rebounds in that win over Liberty earlier this week. Give him 2 there on a nice stick-with-it possession. And a turnover. Getting in those passing lanes, Coach.
Yeah, we talked about that in the pregame about Winters Mill trying to get a shot at the basket every possession and try to really cut down on the turnovers. Westminster doing a great job in the passing lanes.
Up by 6 early. Nice pass down low. A little bit awkward there, but Anye, he's doing a good job on these boards.
Outstanding
but
job.
McPosse made sure he couldn't get a good shot off there, and Winters Mill gets the rebound.
You know, he's done a really nice job. They always say you rebound with your feet, you know, the moving your feet to go get the ball, and he's done an outstanding job early on.
And a turnover. Or is it a foul? Oh, offensive foul, yeah. So that's 2 this quarter for Winters Mill. Oh, I'm sorry, 1 apiece. Westminster had the 1. So 10-4 Westminster with 1:40 left in the first quarter.
Winters Mill looking at a little 1-2-1-1 full court pressure here. So what they're looking for here is the first inbounds. They're gonna try to trap in the corner.
Stephen Burns, the official, talking about where they're going to go after the game. Pleasantries. Good luck in the playoffs, all those kind of things, right? Westminster moving the ball here. I think steps, yeah, Anye. Good job by McPosse to block that off and make Anye shuffle his feet.
Absolutely.
So while those bigs haven't scored too much yet with Donald and McPosse, they are making their presence known under the basket.
Yep. Terrific job. You want to speed people up that aren't used to playing at that speed. You speed the big up and get the travel.
Johnson's Owen Case, number 25, for a 3 out of the glass. And that counts for Owen Case, number 25, and it's 10-7 with 1:15 left in the first quarter.
Not sure that's what's intended, but it still goes on the board.
It goes on the board. You hate it going up and you like it going in, right, Coach?
Again, terrific box out.
Yep.
Terrific.
Bradley with a nice shot, but McPosse with a great box out there. But a little sloppy down low and then another turnover. You talked about the defense, Dave. I mean, that's what Winters Mill is doing right now under the basket. When Westminster, other than the Anye possession, not many second chance shots.
No, you see them put a body on somebody on every single shot that goes up, even if it's small to big, you still see them putting a body on.
Camden Cook in now for Winters Mill, number 22. There's Haynes off the glass. Strong, but there's Anye again with a rebound. He's done a really good job so far in this quarter. I'm sorry, that's off the glass there. It might have been Osgar, number 4, with a bucket. Either way, it's 12-7. Posse finds room to run, and the layup a little strong, and Westminster can hold for the last shot of the quarter. Anye.
Terrific drive to the basket.
Nice drive to the basket, and time is out at the end of the first quarter. Westminster 14, Winters Mill 7. Good start for the Owls. Stick with us. Dave and I'll be back. CM SportsNet Game of the Week right after this.
It's Matt Madness as CM SportsNet brings you the best of high school wrestling with live coverage of Carroll County Wrestling Championships. Catch JV on Friday, varsity on Saturday. Plus, join Pat Stoetzer and Michael Duffy for complete coverage of the finals. See who will be named county champions. Watch CM SportsNet's live coverage of the Carroll County Wrestling Championships, February 17th and 18th. We've got you covered.
Welcome back, CM SportsNet Game of the Week. Westminster leads 14-7 over Winters Mill. Let's take a look at the last sequence there for the Owls to see how they finished the quarter. They're off to a good start, Dave. You can see this play here coming up. I think it was Willie Anye who just got a nice job going to the basket. So that's going to be that 3 from Kyle Hoot. This is just how Westminster did during the first quarter. They were finding some lanes early on in the first quarter, and then, like you said, Winters Mill defense did sort of buckle down a little bit.
Yeah, they hit a variety of shots. A couple
did.
threes, started to take the ball to the basket. And, we were saying Anye presents a little bit of an issue for them because if they take their big out, then Winters Mill's got to put their big on him, and then he takes them to the perimeter. So,
big athletic build, 6'1". I mean, you're right. Kept bringing him off the bench to give them a little bit extra oomph on that side. That's a nice pull-up jump shot by Owen Case to get things started. Number 25 for Winters Mill, and it's 14-9. It'll be interesting to see with Anye, but gives them another weapon there on offense and defense for the rest of this game, and whether Winters Mill can counterattack. Going to stay here. It looked like a fight for the loose ball rebound. Tipped off Winters Mill. That's number 3, Connor Harris, the sophomore forward for Westminster, inbounding the ball. And Anye right away, we're going to count it. So Willie Anye off to a good start.
Absolutely.
For the Owls.
And a terrific job not to get called for a charge.
Nice inbound.
Stayed vertical.
Yes.
Didn't, the Winters Mill player was right there. If he leans in, it's going the other way with a charge. Terrific body control.
Foul called on McPosse, and he's coming out. I think that was just trying to keep him out of foul trouble like we mentioned in the pregame show. Anye short, though, on the three-point play, and it's 16-9 Westminster. I think Anye's up to 6 points now, though, for the Owls, so good start for Willie. There's a contact in the lane. One guy was, let's see. One referee may have been wanting to go to offensive foul and one defensive.
And that's at a place on the court that is right on the borderline between the lead official underneath and the slot official.
And it's called an offensive foul.
Yep, and that's a really good job of officiating. Both officials come together. They both had the call. Rather than one calling it, they come together, see what they have, and we're going the other way.
Dallas Johnson almost with a steal there, and now Westminster's on offense. It's Anye again. Nice job by Willie Anye. He is dominating this first half so far, Dave.
Yeah, there's no answer for him defensively. He's getting the ball in the high post and taking Winters Mill's bigs off the dribble. So I'm sure Coach Wynn's, looking at how he's going to deal with that, but he's done a super job taking the ball to the basket.
There's a long three. I think they're going to call foul, yeah. Long three taken by Winters Mill, and Anye might have got caught off his feet. That might be Owen Case, I think, 25 for Winters Mill. So smart play by Case. Yeah, Anye saying that was on him, so.
Tough break for a kid fouling a three. I know that drives coaches crazy, but the kid's trying to contest the shot, and that happens. But that's tough to give Winters Mill 3 free throws.
Yeah, 3 chances here. First one no good.
And really the last thing you want to do is Winters Mill hasn't really been hitting from the outside, hitting from 3. The last thing you want to do is foul them, put them at the line, and give them a little momentum because they haven't been really shooting the ball too well early.
Right. Case hits the second one. Owen Case coming into the game, averaging 11.4 points per game for Winters Mill. He had 22 the other night against Man Valley, leading the way in that game. That snapped a 4-game losing streak that we talked about. Just a big win when you can knock off the second-ranked team in the county like that and beat them handily.
Absolutely. Manchester Valley's got a really, really nice team.
Yes, they do.
So that's a big win for Winters Mill.
But only 1 of 3, though, on the line, so the foul not too bad in that regard. 18-10. Westminster has the lead. Burns running the offense. Chance, what you see is, and they're going to get him on a reach in there, I think. Oh, no. Maybe 3 seconds, Coach?
Possibly, or maybe, I couldn't see the official. I don't know. It was possibly an illegal screen or a 3-second call. I wasn't able to tell.
Yeah, I didn't see a call made other than maybe just 3 seconds, but maybe we can find out later. But anyway, Winters Mill has the ball back, down 8 early here in the second quarter. Dallas Johnson. Oh, count the bucket, I think. Nice job by Dallas Johnson to find that spot along the baseline and hit that jump shot. If he gets going, Winters Mill can get right back into this game.
Absolutely. That's a tough shot, and probably a shot you don't want to foul. That's a very, very difficult shot. He gets a chance for the traditional 3-point play.
18-13 now. So Winters Mill climbs a little closer. So Winters Mill has 3 players averaging in double figures, so they can score points. It's just that they've come in, not been consistent enough in terms of putting it together for wins, like we talked about in the pregame show. Same goes for Westminster.
Little full court pressure from Winters Mill.
Chance Burns tried to go up with it. That's John Donald with the rebound. Burns tries a 3, and I think there's a foul called underneath.
I think we had a hold on the rebound.
Okay. Might have been a spot foul. And we might have a legal screen or a hold.
Yeah, I think we had an illegal screen on Jasir Donald. Terrific call. He was setting the up screen and probably going to set the up screen and roll back, and he was moving and hip checked the defender.
A little too aggressive.
So it's a good call.
So a couple offensive fouls now in this game on either side, and Falcons try to chip away at this lead down by 21. Silas Durham, one of Winters Mill's guards with the ball here. Back out to Dominic Graham, number 3. And I was going to say, I think he dribbled it off his foot there. Good defense by Donald.
Absolutely, terrific defense. He stepped out and helped. Didn't foul, kept his hands up.
He's just a wall down there when he's got his feet set, like you mentioned. So now it's the Owls who want to try to extend the lead. think this is the game we were expecting to see, right? Some defensive, oh, nice, that's gonna be a jump ball, yeah, nice play. This is kind of what we expected, right, Coach? Just a little bit of defense on both sides.
Right.
And see who can sort of withstand anybody's offensive barrage. This is a nice held ball there by 24, Tommy Hinkhouse, with Graham also getting his hands on the ball. So stays here, but it was a jump ball situation.
Again, really good defense, not to foul, put your hands on the ball, get the alternating possession.
It's a long shot by the Owls, rebounded by Burns, using the left hand. Nice spin around move by Chance Burns to score off that missed shot and get a rebound to boot.
Showing a little post move. All guards want to be post players, and all post players want to be guards. That's a terrific job. Great rebound.
Good wherewithal, too, to know where he is under the basket. Nice putback by number 22, Camden Cook. And it's 20-15 Westminster as we approach the four minutes remaining in the second quarter. Duke drives to the hole, kicks it to the far corner. Both going for the ball. It's gone off Westminster.
Good hustle.
Good hustle play there by both players.
Absolutely. And Westminster got a really good shot. Drive the baseline, draw the defender, kick to the corner, and get the wide open three. It just didn't go in. A really good hustle both ways.
Yeah, I think if you're Coach Burns, you take that play. Just hope that you're going to knock that shot down, right? So now we see Dallas Johnson directing Winters Mill's offense. Dallas will spot up for a three. Halfway down. Rebound no good. Put back again. 22. Camden Cook. That's two straight for him. And it's a three-point game, 20-17. Nice bounce pass to find Donald under the basket. Good job by Ja Donald.
I think when you look at Winters Mill on the offensive end with some of the offensive rebounds, you know, they are driving the ball. When you drive the ball, those defenders slide. Somebody has to step down and put a body on that defender. Both times, Camden Cook steps down, gets an offensive rebound and a putback.
Donald, not one of the leaders in free throw shooting in the county this year, I will say, but he will draw the attention of opposing defenses all night. And like we mentioned, just a big presence out there. It's 6'6", athletic. Nice form that second shot, though. Goes in. And it's 21-17 Westminster with 3:25 left in the second quarter.
And having a kid with that size and athletic ability, and he's just somebody you have to account for on both ends, on the offense and the defensive end.
A little off the mark there by Dominic Graham, and rebound to the Owls. Patrick Haynes, number 15 for Westminster there along the baseline. Now Chance Burns, he finds room. Nice job protecting the ball with that layup, Coach.
Yes, absolutely. A nice drive to the basket, protects the ball. I know Coach Wynn's not going to be happy about that. Winters Mill, nobody rotated over to help. I'm sure he'll be addressing that. It's a terrific drive to the basket.
And the lead is 6, 23-17. Five to shoot. Case going the wrong way, trying to find some room. Nice job to get to it, but the shot clock violation is going to give the ball to Westminster.
Terrific,
good defense.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Terrific half-court defense by Westminster. You know, hedging all the ball screens and the dribble handoffs. Terrific job on that possession.
There's a three. I think that was a little bit of glass there, too.
Absolutely.
No, yes.
one each way. We're all even now.
26-17, Westminster now its biggest lead. And Johnson drew a foul.
You know, and that's set for him. They'll run him off that stagger screen over to the weak side and really clear things out for him. And I think he can do some work there. That time he slid and fell down, but that's a nice set for him.
And there's that three-pointer that careened so not softly off the backboard and went in for Patrick Haynes. He called it all the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you mentioned there was a screen there at the free throw line, and Ashton Stewart got called for the foul. He was arguing his case, but I think, like you were saying, that's a design play for Dallas to get that ball in the elbow and do his thing. And now he inbounds it in for the Falcons. Sam Wyville got it in. Wyville tried for the rebound, but Westminster off the missed shot will have the ball. 1.5 minutes left in the second quarter, and there we see both number ones on each other. Three-pointer, a little long. Donald Carroll's the rebound. Burns back to the far corner for a three. Count it.
And you see it time and time again. There's long offensive rebounds. It stretches the defense out. Somebody's going to get loose and find an open area for a three. I know Coach Wynn's probably saying you can't give them the second shots, the second opportunities.
And our first timeout of the first half comes with 1:06 to go. Westminster 29, Winters Mill 17. There's that pass by Burns into the corner, like you mentioned, for the long three, and give that one number 11, Kyle Hoot. So Hoot's hit some big shots. Willie Agne's hit some big shots, and of course Burns is sort of leading the way here for Westminster, and they find themselves up by 12 at 29-17.
You know, we talked in the pregame about the team that can find points. You know,
Yes.
is going to have a big advantage. I think Westminster has gotten a few more open shots, has gotten some really nice drive to the basket. I think that they're finding more success offensively right now than Winters Mill is.
Still 1:06 to go, so Winters Mill can try to chip this away and maybe get it into single digits. But if you're the Owls, you got to like how this first half has progressed, especially since you lost on Winters Mill's court the first time. So that's Owen Case with the ball, number 25. Case and Sam Wyville in the backcourt for the Falcons, along with Dallas Johnson. Wyville uses the left hand. Nice move,
drive.
Sam Wyville.
Again, that flex action, it gets you a drive from the elbow, that opportunity to take your man off the dribble. That's a nice drive.
You needed something after a couple of those possessions by Westminster.
Yeah, that was a big trip. And, you know, if they get that basket and if they can get a stop here going into halftime, that'll help them.
Foul underneath. Bucket's gonna count. Give it to Grayson Bradley, number 10. Ill opportune time to foul there when you've got Grayson Bradley into the basket. Nice pass by Donald, though, to get
Absolutely. Get Donald on the high post, run the back door, give them the three-point play.
Free throw no good. Dallas Johnson with the rebound. 20 seconds left. Johnson's going to draw a foul.
And again, Coach Burns saying why. 17 feet from the
Yeah.
basket, running right one-hander, and he's saying why.
Now, do they call that a spot foul, or is he shooting?
I think they're saying he was in the motion.
He's at the free throw line. Yep. They're going to give him 2 free throws. Yeah, again, both coaches on these last possessions have something to talk about at halftime, right? Just about being smart with the ball, all that kind of stuff in terms of the fouls. So Johnson's got 2 here. Or it's 1-1.
1-1.
That's what it was. So it didn't matter whether he was in the act of shooting. It was
There you
1-1.
go.
Final seconds here of the first half. Burns has the ball. A layup right at the end of the half. Almost got it to go, but didn't fall. And that's how we've reached the end of the first half. Westminster 31, Winters Mill 19 here on CMSportsNet's Game of the Week. Stick around. We'll be right back to talk about the first half and get set for the second half. Don't go away.
Skill, dedication, leadership. Just a few of the things it takes to be named CM Sportsnet's Athlete of the Week. Hi, I'm Pat Stoetzer. Each week, CMSportsNet recognizes an outstanding player for their contribution to their sport. Meet some of Carroll County student athletes and join us as we celebrate their performance, impact, and outstanding accomplishments. The CMSportsNet Athlete of the Week is sponsored by Genova's To Go, locations in Westminster, Manchester, Hampstead, Hanover, and coming soon, Eldersburg. Genova's To Go, pizza, pasta, subs, and more.
What does it take to cover local high school sports? It takes staff and volunteers, equipment, training, and community support from people like you. You can help by making a donation to the Community Media Center today. Your gift is an investment in our community, our schools, and most of all, our student athletes. We want to expand our coverage to include both boys and girls sports, but we can't do it without your help. So please, make your donation today and help us bring high school sports to every screen in Carroll County.
It's Matt Madness as CMSportsNet brings you the best of high school wrestling with live coverage of Carroll County Wrestling Championships. Catch JV on Friday, varsity on Saturday. Plus, join Pat Stoetzer and Michael Duffy for complete coverage of the finals. See who will be named county champions. Watch CMSportsNet's live coverage of the Carroll County Wrestling Championships, February 17th and 18th. We've got you covered.
Hey there, I'm Pat Stoetzer.
And I'm Michael Duffy, inviting you to join us for The Score and more.
It's our new podcast, and each week we'll talk about high school sports in Carroll County. We'll share information about upcoming games, highlight coaches and athletes, and much more.
We'll even try to have a little fun along the way. Don't miss the Score and More podcast presented by CMSportsNet.
The Score and More Sports Podcast is available online at carrollmediacenter.org and on a variety of podcast channels.
The CMSportsNet Athlete of the Week is sponsored by Genova's To Go, locations in Westminster, Manchester, Hampstead, Hanover, and coming soon, Eldersburg. Genova's pizza, pasta, subs, and more.
All right, we're back with the CM Sportsnet Athlete of the Week, and this week it's Emily Conklin, Westminster girls basketball. Emily had an 11-point game last week and also 16 rebounds in 2 games for the Owls. Emily, the wins are starting to come now at the end of the season. You guys are starting to find your form. I know it was a close loss against Key last week, and you rebounded with a win. What's been the difference in these last few weeks for you guys to pick the pace up and really steam into the playoffs with a lot of momentum?
I think it's really just been our defensive intensity. It's something that we always focus on when coming into the game to try and pressure teams, not let them do what they want to do, and that's something just we can always rely on because you can't always rely on your shots falling. So.
Now, you've had some shots fall lately. I know you hit a three-pointer not too long ago against Man Valley. It was a big, I know it wasn't last week, but a big win for you guys. With your top 2 offensive players, or one of your offensive players, down for the season, who has to kind of fill those roles? You all take it upon yourselves to know, hey, we got to step up and fill that spot when we need to.
Yeah, everybody on the team has really stepped up, and I'm really proud of how some of the younger girls have stepped up into their roles. But yeah, it's really just a team effort. We've gelled really well since.
Yeah. Last week was senior night for you guys. A little special for you. You had some knee injuries last couple of seasons where you missed some time. What was it like getting out there on the court, realizing that you were able to be healthy and play and experience a senior night as one of the veterans on this team?
It was really great. Having to sit out for 2 years was really tough, and I'm just really happy I got to have my senior year and have a successful senior night. So.
All right, well, good luck the rest of the season. Emily Conklin, this week's CMSportsNet Athlete of the Week. Want more local sports coverage? Be sure to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
The Halftime Report is sponsored by Genova's To Go, locations in Westminster, Manchester, Hampstead, Hanover, and coming soon, Eldersburg. Genova's, pizza, pasta, subs, and more.
All right, welcome back. CMSportsNet Boys Basketball Game of the Week. Pat Stoetzer and Dave Herman with you. And we've got Westminster leading Winters Mill 31-19 at the half. Dave, we're going to take a look at some of the first half highlights here, but just real quickly, your thoughts on how the first half, we talked about who wanted to establish themselves first. So far, it's the home team Owls.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Westminster's done a really nice job of moving the ball side to side. You brought up some of the really nice drives to the basket, and that comes from changing sides of the floor with the ball. Westminster just had some better looks. Winters Mill, some of their shots were very tough shots, very difficult shots. I think Westminster's offense has flowed a little bit more, but there's another half to play, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and take a look at some of what happened in the first half. Again, it's Westminster and Winters Mill for the second time this season, and the first game won by Winters Mill back when they played the first time, but Westminster getting it on their court now. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some of the first half highlights on the CMSportsNet Game of the Week. We mentioned the matchups between Dallas Johnson from Winters Mill and Chance Burns from Westminster, just a couple of really good guards. But like we've seen tonight, Westminster's big guys have made their presence known too. And there's one of them right there, even though he's hitting the three there. It's Kyle Hoot, one of their forwards. Chance Burns just really, we talked about him already, just how he controls their offense, just much like Dallas Johnson does too on their defense. That was a nice drive there by.
I think you've seen in the highlights a really good how Westminster has hit some threes, taken the ball to the basket. Here you see a nice steal by Winters Mill.
Yep, Tommy Hinkhouse.
Yep.
But no, you're right. I mean, Westminster has done more with their half-court offense than Winters Mill had so far, and that was a shot by Ashton Stewart, their number 5. Owen Case got in on the long-distance shots, but we got Willie Anye, who's really made a name for himself tonight coming off the bench. He's done a really good. You've been impressed with him so far.
Absolutely. Came in, he probably has 3 or 4 offensive rebounds. And again, he becomes a matchup issue for Winters Mill. If they're going to put a big on him, he's going to put it on the floor and go to the basket. So he's been a problem for Winters Mill.
He was. Then that was Camden Cook there for Winters Mill. He had 2 of those on back-to-back possessions where he scored off second half, second chance points. But Chance Burns does a really good job there, just protecting the ball from the defense. And this was that 3 off the glass that every coach loves when they go in, but maybe not when it goes down. Give that one to number 15, Patrick Haynes. And then again, just a nice pass by Chance Burns into the corner there for Hoot.
Yep.
To hit that 3. Big 3 down there at the end of the half there for them. This was a nice play, though, by Sam Weiler, just to give them something there at the end of the half.
Right.
So really good first half. Again, I think we saw Westminster, sort of make their presence known because of some of their bigs. But like you mentioned, too, got a half left. I mean, Dallas Johnson and Owen Case came to McPosky. We didn't see a lot of him in the second half because of foul trouble. Winters Mill will have an answer. It's just a matter of, it's always a game of runs, right? It's a matter of whether Westminster can sort of stem the tide there and stay in the lead.
Right, and I think you'll see early on, again, Winters Mill running that flex action that either gets you coming off a baseline screen or a down screen. You saw the drive there of getting those kids in the high post area, the elbow area, and putting the ball on the floor and going to the basket. So I'm sure Coach Wynn is talking about those things at halftime, and I'm sure also he's addressing the defense. I think Winters Mill's an outstanding defensive team, but Westminster has done a really nice job of getting to the basket. Winters Mill's defense breaking down a little bit, not sliding over to help. Right. But those are things that are easily correctable, and you have to give Westminster some credit there, too.
Yeah. Some of the keys of the second half, like you said, obviously Winters Mill wants to eliminate the mistakes, and obviously both teams have to worry about some of the fouls. But I think if you're Westminster, to me anyway, you want to just keep. It sounds simple, of course. Keep doing what you've been doing in this first half, getting those good looks to your post players, kicking out to that 3-pointer. Do you change much if you're Stephen Burns after what you saw in the first half from Westminster, or do you want to just stay the course?
I think that he's probably telling them that he's probably pretty pleased with their defense. They had a shot clock violation there. I thought they did an outstanding job of taking away McPassy inside, controlling Dallas Johnson a little bit. And offensively, I'm sure there's some things that he wants to tweak and that sort of thing. But I thought Burns did a really nice job orchestrating the offense. He got a lot of people involved.
He did.
Again, hit the 3, take the ball to the basket. And again, go back to, we'll see if either team gets their big involved in the second half.
Right, and I was saying for Winters Mill, I think if you're Coach Wynn, you want as many of those guys that you had in the first half that were sort of limited to rise up better in the second half. And I know some of that was fouls and things like that, but Case didn't score that much in the first half. Dallas, I know he's distributing the ball too, but a little more balance on offense can get you back in the game in a hurry.
Right, and I saw Coach Wynn on a couple possessions ran a 2-man game with Dallas Johnson and McPassy on one side of the court. Maybe he wants to try to put the ball in their hands a little bit more. But I'm sure both coaches are looking at this, and we'll see what the second half brings.
Yeah, absolutely. CMSportsNet Game of the Week. You see the huddles there between Westminster and Winters Mill as we're getting set for the start of the second half. See Dave Wynn there talking to his players ahead of this third quarter. It's probably saying a lot of the things that Dave Herman just talked about. And
I'm sure he's saying them better, though. I have to tell you.
I was going to mention, too, earlier, both guys, well, Coach Burns wearing just the pullover. Coach Wynn still has the jacket on, and that was the thing for you when you coached. The jacket would stay on. We always used to place bets on how long it would be till the jacket came off. He's keeping his on, so he learned from the old days. I know you like that.
Yeah.
Keep the jacket on as long as you can, right?
Absolutely. You have to keep it on as long as you can.
When you took yours off in the old days, I knew something wasn't going right for your team. So the jacket came off, and you were angry at Coach Byers or somebody on the floor, but Coach Wynn still wearing the full suit. Of course, his guys are down double digits to start this third quarter, but there's a lot of game left. And again, like we talked about this, the rivalry will bring out the best in these guys too.
Absolutely, and kind of cliche, but the first couple minutes of the second half, when you're down 10 or down 11, it's pretty important. Winners Mill wants to get a couple good looks here and chip away at this thing.
And that was actually a good look by Owen Case, just a little long on the shot. Rebound by Hinkhouse, putback I should say, didn't go, and Westminster with their first possession. It's Ashton Stewart with the ball. Patrick Haynes on the baseline. Kyle Hoot getting involved. Same five, I think, as we saw. Well, no, Haynes is in now for the Owls. Oh, it's same five. Haynes with a runner there just inside the free throw line, a little strong. And Owen Case brings it up for Winters Mill. Dallas Johnson, nice shot by Dallas Johnson, that 15-footer from the baseline.
You don't see many kids hitting that shot. It's usually a three or a layup, but that pull-up jumper, a little bit of a lost start. That's a tough shot.
It was, especially with the defender not too far away. And maybe that's the one that gets Dallas Johnson going here on offense. 10-point game, 31-21. A little lazy pass there from Burns, and Winters Mill's defense was right there. So same sort of tight defense we're seeing already, Dave, from Winters Mill.
Right, and I'm sure Winters Mill knows that defense is what's going to get them back in this. You can't trade baskets when you're down, when you're down 10.
Correct. Ooh, Burns drove to the hole. Some pretty hard defense there by Winters Mill.
Terrific hustle by Westminster.
We're going back and forth here with some stellar play defensively. John Donald pulled it back out. Stewart giving it to Hoot at the free throw line. Now Burns, nowhere to go. Ashton Stewart draws contact on the baseline. I think Chance Burns wanted a foul called, but they did call one on the baseline. And Ashton Stewart will go to the line. It's a nice pass by Burns to get it down low to
outstanding pass. Winters Mill player kind of got caught on his hip, couldn't square his shoulders, and Westminster draws the contact.
First one was good from Stewart. Second one a little long. Was it a?
I think we had a push on Westminster. Again, can't say it enough. Candy McPassy with an outstanding block out to draw the foul and secure the rebound.
Cross-court pass, Dallas Johnson. I think Coach Wynn thought that they got their hands entangled there, but anyway, it's a turnover, and back come the Owls. Oh, Donald, good idea trying to get it down low to Stewart, but
it really was a nice idea for him to, a lot of bigs, when they get the ball in that deep, they want to go ahead and go to the basket. He's looking for the cutter. It's a very, very nice idea.
So we see Willie Anye coming back in for Westminster.
Westminster with a little bit of pressure here.
A three-quarter court or so at a Winters Mill. Ooh, all in the back court, almost. Nice pass from Johnson. And a nice move by Tommy Hinkhouse with the 25. That was a good pass by Dallas Johnson and a nice finish. by Hinkhouse. And Winners Mill has cut it to 9, 32-23 with 5:10 left. Anye back out for a 3 that doesn't go. Nice rebound by Anye.
Very active on the glass.
He is. Who tries to get in there? Burns, a fake, and a nice backboard layup for Chance Burns, kissing it off the glass. That's a nice possession by Westminster.
It's a terrific possession. A nice runner by Burns, but again, Anye, making him go, just moving his feet in that, just doesn't stop on the offensive glass.
And Dallas Johnson shuffled his feet and got called for a travel. So 34-23 with 4:40 left in this quarter. It's out of bounds. Westminster has kept up this pace so far in this third quarter. Like the pass down low to Anye, who dribbled it off his foot. Good defense by McPassy again. You've been saying this a bunch of times. He hasn't scored a ton of points so far, but he's definitely just making things tough. Just had to make, Anye had to alter his body there. And
and that's a terrific compliment to a player. He's not getting the points and things like that, but he hasn't let that impact other parts of his game. He's screening, rebounding, he's still playing defense.
And hustling. So foul called there on Westminster, a little spot foul.
Westminster, a little 2-3 zone here.
And it turns into a turnover. Burns. Anye. Yeah. He lost control, but I think it did go off a Winners Mill foot underneath, so the ball will stay with the Owls. Inbounds goes to Hoot. And the 10-footer finds its way in. 12-footer, maybe. 36-23. Westminster has its largest lead. Dallas Johnson with a nice idea, a nice, just the wherewithal to go to the basket instead of taking that what could have been a bad 3 there. It's a nice play.
Really a terrific cross-court pass. That's what beats that pressure. Changing sides of the floor is a terrific pass.
Stewart will try for a 3. He'll hit it. Ashton Stewart, number 5, with a 3-pointer, and it's 39-25 Westminster, a 14-point lead for the Owls. And we got a stoppage of play. Just Owen Case was trying to find some room, I think, defensively, and just sort of knocked down the defender. He's up now. That's Ashton Stewart coming off, number 5. Looks like he's okay. A little physical on defense between these two rivals. You're going to have some moments like that in games like this.
Absolutely. And in saying that, I think the officials have done a really nice job in this game. They've called the obvious stuff. They're letting the kids play both ways. I think they've been really, really consistent with the hand checks, with the airborne shooters, all that kind of stuff. So I think they've done a really, really nice job of letting the kids decide this game.
Dallas Johnson with the ball now.
Again, Westminster 2-3.
Owen Case finds a 3, and he and Johnson can hit 3s, and that's what Winners Mill is going to need, I think, here, at least to get back into this game. And there's a turnover. Bodies flying all over the place here, Coach.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, kind of quietly, Tommy Hinkhouse has done a really nice job, on the boards. He's had a couple steals. He gets his hands on a lot of balls, too, a lot of deflections. I think he's done a very, very nice job doing some of the little things.
And they're going to need a lot of that collectively to find the way back. But it's 39-28. And a little short there from McPassy from just inside the free throw line there. And Westminster has the ball back. That's Haynes, number 15. Bradley over to Hoot, number 11. Try to get it to Chance Burns. And a little bit strong, and back come the Falcons. And I think that's a travel, and that was a sensational block by Willie Anye. Dallas Johnson found his way to the basket, and Willie Anye did too.
Yep.
And that was a nice play.
And as a coach, you just love that effort. Like, you know, Westminster turns the ball over on one end, nobody hangs their head, and he chases them down from behind. You just, as a coach, you love to see that.
And that energizes their teammates too, right?
Absolutely.
Dallas Johnson looked like he had a clear path to the basket, and Anye using all that athleticism to block it off the backboard.
And after that effort on the defensive end, maybe you want to try to find him on this end, get him a good look at the basket.
That's right. Get a 2-for-1. They'll take points, though, up 39-28 right now. Give that drive to Micah Osgar, number 4. He draws the foul, and he's going to shoot 2 free throws.
And there again, there's that drive from the elbow area. And Winters Mill's help is late to come, and send him to the foul line.
Micah Osgar, 5'8", junior guard. One of Coach Steve Burns' reserves that's filling in nicely here off the bench, as the Falcons will substitute out. Yeah, Micah scores six and a half points a game, Coach. He's coming off. He's not just coming in to give minutes. He's coming in to give some offense too. So, nice compliment to Westminster.
Absolutely.
First one was good. The second one was a little strong. 40-28. It's a 12-point lead for Westminster with just under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Nice patient drive
really
by
was.
Dallas Johnson.
It's a nice job by Dallas to get past the defender and then have a clear look to the basket. Bradley gives to Haynes. Yeah, I was wondering if that was going to be called jump ball or not. That was Dallas Johnson, by the way, getting his hands on that ball.
And coming all the way from the other help side down, or from the help side coming down. That's a fantastic call.
Yep.
You know, got all ball and and called the alternating possession.
So it stays with the Owls, but almost a pick by Dallas there inside the paint, but the ball. See, they're going to confer. I think it's going to stay. Yeah, it stays with Westminster. 1:24 left, under 10 to shoot on this possession, and Winters Mill will bring in Camden Cook, number 22, coming in for Dallas Johnson. This is the time of those quarters where you don't want anybody to get a silly foul, so sometimes you want to take somebody out with a minute and a half or so left.
And Cook did a really nice job in the first half, a couple rebounds and putbacks. And Winters Mill, if they're gonna kind of claw their way back in this, they got to get some stops.
And Cook gives them a little more size as well. So good call there on the baseline. I think that was a good block call. So it should be a spot foul. So Westminster not scoring at the moment, but doing a good job of keeping Winters Mill on their toes defensively. Good work around the perimeter by Westminster. Osgar gets in the lane and high off the backboard and in. So 2 times now we've seen Micah Osgar with some pretty good offensive possessions for the Owls, and they're back up by 12.
And again, that dribble
42-30.
penetration by Westminster is really hurting Winters Mill, breaking down the defense. You really want to try to keep those penetrators out of the lane, and Westminster's finding they're able to get in the lane.
So it's a foul called there on Westminster, I think. Or no, I'm sorry, they're talking about the clock. Well, either way, Winters Mill's ball into the basket. Yeah, 15 on the shot clock. 49 seconds left in the quarter. Case, a little off the mark, and a rebound by number 15, Patrick Haynes. That's a nice job by Grayson Bradley, number 10, to find that pass and just know where he has to go down the lane.
Nice curl move to the basket.
Yeah.
Again, another shot in the paint.
Westminster really doing damage against Winters Mill in that regard. 44-30, 15 seconds left. Westminster's defense really out high here, too. There's a pull-up shot there by Winters Mill. That might be the last points of the quarter. And it is. So Winters Mill scored the last points of the quarter, but Westminster leads 44-32. We got the fourth quarter left here. Stick around. The CMSportsNet Boys Basketball Game of the Week will finish up here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's Matt Madness as CMSportsNet brings you the best of high school wrestling with live coverage of Carroll County Wrestling Championships. Catch JV on Friday, varsity on Saturday. Plus, join Pat Stoetzer and Michael Duffy for complete coverage of the finals. See who will be named county champions. Watch CMSportsNet's live coverage of the Carroll County Wrestling Championships, February 17th and 18th. We've got you covered.
All right, we're back. CMSportsNet Boys Basketball Game of the Week. Pat Stoetzer and Dave Herman finishing out this fourth quarter here. We have Westminster 44, Winters Mill 32, and Westminster picked up where they left off in the first half, Coach.
Absolutely, and we talked about the guard penetration. They ran a really nice curl cut right there at the end of the third quarter, and Winters Mill's just got to do a little bit better job trying to keep their Westminster's guards out of the lane, breaking down the defense, and I think they can. Winters Mill's not going to go away, no. And Westminster likewise is not going to take their foot off the gas, so it should be a good fourth quarter.
We were just talking a second ago. I think foul trouble with some of the Winters Mill guys is starting to become maybe a little bit of a problem. We haven't seen Candy McPassy last few possessions, and if you're Coach Wynn, 8 minutes left, you've got plenty of time to come back. Then it becomes a mental game of when can I bring Candy in and not pick up another foul. So it's a game you have to play within the game, right?
Absolutely, and also too is I'm sure Coach is telling his guys, like, we don't need to go out and start firing up threes right at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Like, run our stuff, chip away, get some defensive stops, which is just so crucial that they need some stops. And get it to six or 8 points with 4 minutes left to go, and then you have a chance.
Is that what you do here in these timeouts? Do you play that game of, hey, we have to get it to X amount of points at the 4-minute mark if we want to have a chance?
Absolutely, and you don't want the kids down. Sure. And so you tell them, like, look, we're at the 4-minute mark. We're gonna have this to 6 points, and then we're off we go. And
and of course, if you're Westminster, you would want to obviously keep it as what they were doing in that third quarter. And we're seeing some highlights here from that third quarter. And again, it was a lot of the same suspects that we saw in the first half. You really thought that Ashton Stewart did a pretty good job there, complimenting Chance Burns in that backcourt. They need more of this. He needs more of those shots from Owen Case. That was a really nice stroke by Case. But we saw Willie Anye just come out of nowhere on this block.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big play for them.
Great hustle play, and I'm sure Coach Burns is probably telling his guys, like, we want to stay aggressive. We don't want to pull back and run clock and everything. You get yourself into trouble that way. So, it'd be interesting. It looks like Westminster maybe starting a little zone here, possibly. We'll see how Winters Mill reacts to that.
Yeah, if you're Westminster, maybe you're thinking, hey, you're gonna have to shoot. You're gonna have to fire these threes to beat us in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely.
So we'll see. Here we go. 8 minutes left. Owls up 12. Johnson tried again, and Willie Anye again denies him under the basket. Willie Anye has opened my eyes in this game tonight, Coach. I know there's other players out there that are doing really good things. He's been maybe the best tonight for Westminster.
And you love kids that play both ends of the floor. I mean, he's done it on both ends of the floor.
And there's a much-needed three-pointer. Give that one to 21, Silas Durham, off the inbound pass, and we'll see if that's what sparks the Falcons. But Willie Anye has certainly sparked Westminster tonight. Chance Burns a little off the mark, but a rebound to the Owls. Nice put back by Osgar, but it's just a little strong, and here comes Winters Mill. They're staying in that zone, Coach.
Yep. And that's a really nice drive. If they're going to split that top like that, Dallas Johnson can get down the middle of that defense.
You see there, though, he had to alter it a little bit because he knew Anye was under there, and of course, Anye gets the rebound.
Right. Those 3 blocks are looming large for Winters Mill when they take the ball to the basket.
Going to call 3 seconds, yeah. No McPassey for Winters Mill and no Donald right now for Westminster, but Willie Anye, the 6'1" senior forward, has filled in quite nicely for the Owls, and they lead 44-35 early here in the fourth quarter.
Nice job by Westminster. You put a little pressure on, make Winters Mill run some clock.
A little out of control there. I think Hinkhouse got caught up. It was a nice move, a nice job to break that zone, and he couldn't quite find the offense there. These possessions, it's still early in this quarter, but these possessions are all big now for Winters Mill, right?
They are, and you know what? Winters Mill's gotten 2 good looks against the zone. They just haven't been able to convert.
You almost got to play your A game the rest of the way if you want to try to chip this lead away.
You do.
And Travel, yeah, I thought he got caught up on his feet, so unfortunately there for Osgard Travel. And Westminster making some substitutions. 6:10 left in our CMSportsNet Game of the Week. Remember, after the game, we'll have some post-game comments. We'll take a look at the second half highlights, and we'll have a post-game interview with one of the players of the game.
And I think, Pat, your point is a good one. When you get a turnover or something like that, when you're down 9 or 10, you got to really try to take advantage if you want to get back in it.
Burns almost swiped Johnson. Nice job by Hinkhouse. Just a little long on the... Oh!
Camden Cook.
And Camden Cook again. Johnny on the spot. He has a chance for a 3-point play. That was almost it was a great pass from Johnson underneath to Hinkhouse, who just a little long. And there's Cook. The athletic ability is starting to show here for Winters Mill.
Right. Again, see, never gives up on the play. You got to love those kids that just continue to give effort.
And left-handed at that.
Yeah.
And the free throw goes. So a 30-second timeout called by Winters Mill, and Westminster's lead is 44-38. So, like we said, Winters Mill not going anywhere here early in the fourth quarter. And that's what they need, right, Coach? They just need a couple of possessions like that, a stop, and then points the other way.
Right. And when you're not, maybe when you don't have your A game offensively and you're not hitting shots, you got to find other ways to score. And those effort points, the offensive rebounds. I mean, Camden Cook, 6 big points tonight on offensive rebounds and putbacks. So if you're not shooting the ball well, you tell your guys, like, go get a rebound. You know, it's just a hustle play. And Winters Mill's done a nice job. You know, and Westminster's fine. I think they've done a nice job of being patient. They've had a couple turnovers. But you know, we talked about like setting that mark of getting it to 6. Winters Mill's got it to 6 with 6 minutes left.
You saw our little promo there on the screen. Just a reminder that next weekend we'll have mat-to-mat coverage of the Carroll County Athletic League Wrestling Championship Tournament. And Michael Duffy and myself will be live Saturday to watch the finals, give some commentary, and see who gets crowned county champions. That's next weekend, the 17th and 18th, right here at Westminster High School. Come out the timeout now. The Winters Mill Falcons trail by 6. What's Westminster's answer? It's a 3-pointer off the glass again. The Owls are the glass and the iron has been kind to the Owls and the Falcons for that matter on these threes. That's a big shot for the Owls there after the Falcons cut the lead to 6.
And if you're on the Winters Mill bench, that is just a killer.
But a nice play there by Camden Cook to Tommy Hinkhouse, number 24. And back and forth we go now with 5:07 to go, 47-40. This is Kyle Hoot inside to Haynes, to Burns at the free throw line. Oh, ball bounced around. Winters Mill had their hands on the rebound. And Haynes, number 15, smartly holds on to it for a second or two to reset the offense.
Nice job by Winters Mill stepping in to draw the offensive foul. And again, those are the hustle plays you got to make when you're down. You know, offside defender steps in, draws the charge.
Yep, good call, I think.
And I have to say, Coach Wynn was quite skilled at that back in his day as a player, and he's passed that on to his kids now. So
nothing wrong with guys on your team that can take a good charge, right?
That's right.
Big part of the game.
Westminster back to man-to-man.
Yeah, the zone for a few minutes, and the Falcons were able to have some success against it. So back into some man defense, like Dave said. Every one of these trips down the court, though, is big for Winters Mill now. Dallas Johnson maybe a little bit off center there with that shot. So baseline, that was a 2, but a long rebound.
Again,
Winners Mill.
extra possessions.
Yep. That's a nice drive to the basket by Cook, but Anya gets the rebound and a foul now the other way.
Little frustration
Yeah.
foul there. He, ran a really nice set with the fake handoff, and he went to the basket, missed the close-in shot, and then you give the foul.
Yeah, he's coming in for the ball, trying to make something happen, and the double team gets called for a foul there on Winners Mill. So again, there's Willie Anye using his muscle to grab that rebound.
So Winners Mill back in the full court pressure.
And they turn it over. Westminster does, rather. 3, Dallas Johnson. Was long, and what do we call underneath? Is that a held ball?
I think it was a held ball. I think that was Camden Cook again on the offensive rebound.
Okay. And maybe a timeout on the floor. 30-second timeout called by Westminster. Winners Mill is in the game, 47-40, with a lot of time left in the fourth quarter here on the CMSportsNet Game of the Week.
I think that's a great timeout by Coach Burns. I mean, Winners Mill's cut into the lead. It's still a 7-point lead. As much as Winners Mill's had a flurry, it's still 7 points. And,
Right.
you know, I'm sure, you know, Coach Burns going over some defensive stuff and probably putting a set, you know, you want a good shot on your next trip down the court. Westminster's been a little scattered offensively, so he's trying putting something together to get one of his, maybe Chase Burns a shot or Willie Anye.
Yeah, like you said, no matter how you slice it, it's 3 possessions still right now. It's still 3:44 left, but you're in. You know, if I'm the Owls, you're saying you're in. You guys are in control of this game. They made a run, but everyone's going to make a run, as everyone says to each other. And if you're Winners Mill, you can tell me, but I think you're saying we're back in the game now.
Absolutely.
With 3:44 left, plenty of possessions left.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, Winners Mill's turned Westminster over in the pressure a little bit.
I would say they have to continue to do it here if they want to try to steal a few possessions down the stretch. But they are going to fall back into that half court. Bradley. Yeah, I think when in doubt, get Chance Burns hands on the ball if you're Westminster. Shot clock winding down, and a nice play, nice drive there by number 5, Ashton Stewart. Big bucket for Westminster. 9-point lead with 3 minutes to go. Still 3 possessions, but still has some big points. Case, ooh, that was on the mark, but Winners Mill got the rebound.
Nice look.
Oh, and did that go in? It did. That was a nice sequence there for Winners Mill. Count the basket, yeah. For number 10, Brandon Taylor. That's what Winners Mill needed there with 2:49 to go.
Again, you see the hustle plays, the offensive rebounds, and a great find there. Fantastic pass to find Brandon Taylor cutting down the middle.
And Taylor strokes the free throw. And we're back to 6, 49-43 with 2:49 left. Oh, and just a little bit of a shuffle of the feet. Oh,
Terrific
and Stewart
hustle.
comes right back and gets the steal.
Again,
nice
that's one of
plays.
those plays you love to see. Get the ball stolen. Don't give up on the play. Don't hang your head. Chases them down from behind and gets the steal right back.
That doesn't show in the box score, but the coach sees that, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep.
And, you know, I think that's been an impressive thing both ways in this game. These kids you haven't seen anybody really hang their head.
No.
The hustle plays, the offensive rebounds, the blocks, the steals. It's just really good to see as a coach. Both these coaches have instilled in their kids that, you know, don't give up on a play. continue to hustle, continue to play, and you see that from both teams.
Full timeout was called by Winters Mill, I think, there with 2.5 left, just to try to maybe set up this last sequence. Pretty big for both sides. And there's Dave Wynn talking to his guys, drawing up some plays on the sideline. I think trying to just figure out how much you can't script it, of course, but you want to try to have your guys prepare for the next possession after this one, right? A couple possessions ahead of time.
Right, and you want to give them a couple things. This is what we want to do, a couple sets, and maybe just get the ball in Dallas Johnson's hand and let him create and let him penetrate and find people. And then again, you're telling your guys you're crashing the offensive boards. With everything that you have, you want to get those second chances, those putbacks, so that you can set your pressure. That's the other thing. Winters Mill wants to score so they can set their pressure.
2.5 minutes to go. Westminster 49, Winters Mill 43. The Owls had the ball, thanks in part to that nice hustle play there moments ago by Ashton Stewart, number 5. That definitely could have been a hang-your-head situation, and he did not. And that was, like you mentioned a minute ago, he really stuck with it. And
well, you see, if Winters Mill goes down and scores, it's a 4-point game. This could potentially be a 4 or 6 point swing.
Sure,
here.
No, absolutely. And again, a big play you might not see, in a box score. At least the flow of it, anyway. So there's Burns, like you said. Wow. He did everything but score there. That was a great drive, just a little strong off the rim. And it's Winters Mill now. Corner 3 was long. The rebound went to Winters Mill at first. I think some hustle play there by Westminster, but the ball's going to remain with Winters Mill.
And Winters Mill's had some opportunities there. You get a wide open corner 3, it just doesn't go down.
Yeah, can't fault them on that.
Nope.
And if that had gone in, you're talking about a 2-point game, 3-point game with just 2 minutes to go. So plenty of time left in this game. Winters Mill down 6. We're seeing hustle plays on both sides now in the last 2 minutes. These guys want this win. Officials are conferring here down there in the entranceway to the gym.
Looks like it's going to be Winters Mill's ball.
Yep, it is. No, I think they're talking to the table here for a second, but yeah, I felt like it went off. Westminster won that as they dove to the sideline there, trying to keep it in, but it did go off the home team. Sorting it out here on the court. I think we're good now. And the Falcons will inbound. Almost a turnover by the Falcons, but Dallas Johnson has it. Under 10 to shoot. Case will fire for 3. No good, and Donald with the rebound.
And again, you get a ball screen. They go with Dallas Johnson. You get Owen Case wide open for a 3. It just doesn't go down. So I mean, they're getting their opportunities.
Well, maybe didn't need that shot if you're Westminster. Oh, Chance Burns, great job with that steal. And this time Stewart scores. And 51-43 now with 1:15 left. Case, though, not going away. That's a 3-pointer for Winters Mill. And a quick timeout by Dave Wynn. And it's 51-46. Westminster scored, but I think if you were Stewart, you probably didn't want to take that first jump shot there so early in the shot clock, but it turned out to be okay after the Chance Burns steal. That's just another heads-up play by Burns.
Great steal in transition. And a great lead for his big coming down the middle.
Stewart put it away that time, so. You get caught up sometimes in the moment. You forget about the clock and things like that. If the clock's on your side, if you're Westminster, right, and you're possessing the lead there.
It's a great shot if it goes in, for sure.
Sure. But that's one you wish you don't want that one to be taken just in the circumstance. But of course, if it goes in, it's great. And he did get a chance to redeem himself, and he did a pretty good job there. So 51-46.
Yeah. So Winters Mill is going to set their pressure here, and I'm sure Coach Wynn's telling them, telling them time and score. If they go down and they miss and we come down and score, we're going to call a timeout.
Right.
We want to try to run this set. I'm sure Coach Burns setting press release. telling his guys be strong with the ball. You know, Winters Mill is going to be, reaching and trying to strip the ball. So he's setting his press release and then telling them what they want to do offensively. In all likelihood, Westminster probably doesn't need any more points unless Winters Mill really starts hitting shots.
Right.
So you just want to be patient.
And if you're Winters Mill, you don't necessarily need the 3 right away, right? You got to have the 2 at some point here anyway. So they're going to choose to play defense here, it looks like, and not foul right away. It's a lot of time left, 60 seconds here. And they will call a foul. They're a little aggressive by Owen Case.
And seeing that's tough because you either want to foul right at the beginning of the clock or you want to play it out. And
that's what I was wondering with how they were going to play that. And then I think Case got caught there just sort of face guarding his opponent. But yeah, either do it right off the bat if you can't get the steal. And if you then 2 or 3 seconds, coach, usually you want to try to foul.
Yeah.
Go for the steal first is what I'm saying. And then if you don't get that.
And see now Westminster gets a fresh shot clock.
Westminster just trying to hold on to the ball here. 45 seconds left. Oh.
Now you definitely don't want to foul here.
And a timeout called by Westminster. Probably a smart timeout with 8 seconds left on the shot clock and 37 seconds left on the game clock.
Right, and coach was probably anticipating, hey, we might be looking at, even though I have the ball in my best ball handler's hand, everybody's sped up, maybe a turnover. I have timeouts. Why not call one so he can, he can run a set that he's comfortable with here.
And now you don't want to foul if you're Winters Mill.
No, definitely not.
With under 8 or under 10 to shoot on the shot clock and time not on your side on the game clock. You just got to hope for a miss and grab the rebound. If you're Westminster, like you said, setting something up in this timeout.
Right. And and you pointed out something that's important. Like if you're Winters Mill, if you do get a stop here, you don't need a 3. In fact, Westminster's probably going to be guarding a 3. A lot of times you can get an easy take to the basket here. So take the 2 and then set your pressure.
Right. So Westminster inbounds on its own, on its fan side of the court. Bradley. Oh, out of bounds with 1 second to go on the shot clock. So now Westminster has to hoist something up here. Nope. I think they were trying for the tip to Donald, but it didn't go in. And now here's, and a block called. Probably a good call there. Dallas Johnson had a teammate on the right-hand side, but it was going up with it, I think, from the start. Nobody had his hands on the ball. And probably the good play there. But, I mean, Johnson needs to attack the rim. So
right.
These free throws are big. No shot clock now. So the shot clock's off. So now you're Winters Mill. You score here, you're going to be in foul mode. First one good. Dallas Johnson, the 5'7" senior guard, one of Winters Mill's leaders. Had 9 rebounds and 6 assists in that Man Valley game on Tuesday. Really good all-around player.
Right, and I'm sure coach has told him here, if he makes this and we set our pressure, we're going to go maybe 1 trap, and if it comes out of that trap, then we're going to give the foul.
Yep. So Johnson hits them both, and there it is. There's the pressure right off the bat. And let's see.
Nice pass by Burns out of the pressure.
Oh, a little bit of unsureness there, but it did go off a Winters Mill player with 18 seconds left, and the timeout is called. Oh, it was hard to tell. That was pretty close.
It was very close.
That was pretty close.
It was very close.
From the live play, I thought it had clearly gone off of a Winters Mill player, but on that replay, it's still hard to tell. So 51-48. Don't go anywhere just yet.
Now it looks like the ball is going to be put in on the sidelines down a little bit towards the baseline. It's a little bit of a tough place to inbound the ball as opposed to up the sidelines or on the end line. I am sure they have a set to run here, but it can be a little bit tricky on that sideline, especially defensively. You want to push everybody towards that sideline, use the sideline as another defender. So well, it looks like it's up a little bit further, so that
It
looks
gives
like
them a
it's
little bit
okay.
of a break there. Yeah. Yep. Some tense final moments here between Westminster and Winters Mill on the CMSportsNet Game of the Week. Owls 51, Falcons 48. 18.8 seconds left in regulation. And a 3-point advantage for Westminster.
Interesting here, some coaches like to not put a man on the ball. Yeah, and that's what, okay, so coach is putting a guy on the ball to try to bother him. Different philosophies there.
Got a foul, and they do foul Chance Burns. Probably not the guy you want to foul there,
Right.
but one and one now, I think, coming up. I think Coach Burns wanted more time off the clock.
Yeah, I think so.
He was wondering why the whole scoreboard had not ticked away, but 15.1 showing here, and some big free throws here for Chance
That's
Burns.
ones where the official might say, hey, that's your clock, guy,
Yeah,
you know?
that's right. No good, but
Big
guess,
rebound, though.
I think Westminster called a timeout. John Donald coming out huge for Westminster after that missed free throw.
That's a terrific hustle play. Again, missed free throw. You don't think he's going to miss because he's such a terrific free throw shooter, but you know he's anticipating the miss, where it's coming off. Again, move your feet, two hands, go get the rebound. That's a terrific rebound.
You mentioned it just not in passing, but you mentioned how the front court guys, we match up the guards as our marquee matchup, and we've seen McPassey do his thing off defensively for Winters Mill, and for Ja Donald as well on defense, and Willie Anye offense and defense. The bigs definitely sort of made their presence known here today in this game.
Yes, they have.
But impressed there by Donald to stay with it, get that big rebound, and of course keep his feet about him and not turn it over, not commit a foul there. So really nice play by Ja Donald.
And a great job by Westminster staff. You see your big kid 18 feet from the basket. That potentially can be a bad situation. Call the timeout right away. Great job all the way around.
So shot clock again. Shot clock's off. No shot clock here. And if you're Winters Mill, you don't want to waste too much time either trying to get that steal or commit the foul and put one of Westminster's players back on the free throw line. Here we go, inbound play. And got it to Ashton Stewart. And foul called, I think, on Winters Mill there. It's a hard foul.
Good job by the officials stepping in, and they understand that at this game the emotions are running high, so they're managing the game. Super job by the officiating crew.
And so now it's Ashton Stewart, senior guard, with a chance to maybe not quite put it away, but certainly one of these makes it a two-possession game, and that's a big deal for Westminster. And there's the first one. (52-48). No good, but still a two-possession game. I think Winters Mill called a timeout to try to set something up here with 8.8 seconds left. Full timeout called by Winters Mill.
It's going to be interesting here. Some coaches are going to say, okay, only 9 seconds left, 8.8 seconds. We're going to, try to be realistic. We're probably going to need a three. And then, a steal, and then we only need, the one coming back or whatever. And some coaches are going to say, no, we're going to get a quick two and set our pressure.
Yeah.
And especially if Winters Mill has timeouts. I'm not sure how many timeouts they have left, but if they do have a timeout, probably get a quick two and a timeout.
Okay. Would you draw up a play here for the 3, or are you just drawing up a play to try to get some offense as quick as possible?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. A lot of coaches will have sort of their end-of-the-game go-to play. Obviously, I don't know what coaches is, but, he might run something for Dallas Johnson. Hey, a quick hitter, take it to the basket, score, timeout, set our pressure. And then we can try to get a steal or that sort of thing. The thing about it is Winters Mill hasn't shot the ball tremendously well for 3. If you shoot a 3 and miss, for all intents and purposes, the game's over.
Right.
But if they're going to give you that 2, that easy drive, we're going to take it and call a timeout.
Yeah. And like you said, if Coach Wynn has one, if not, you get to 2 and you set up your trap or whatever it might be in defense. So we'll see. 8.8 seconds to go. Is Coach Wynn a 2 guy or a 3 guy? We're going to find out right here, I think. Dallas Johnson. A long 3. Took some time to set up. And out of bounds to Westminster, and that's going to do it.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure, but I thought I saw the official go to Coach Wynn there and say you have no timeouts.
Okay, well, there
and
you
that
go.
changes things because even if you score, Westminster can let the clock run out.
Correct.
So.
Anye, long baseball pass. And that does it. And Westminster holds on 52 to 48, and they get a split in the city rivalry game. A good CMSportsNet game of the week, but stick around, we're not done yet. Dave and I will be back for some post-game highlights and talk to one of the players of the game. We'll be right back after this. Don't go away.
Skill, dedication, leadership. Just a few of the things it takes to be named CMSportsNet's Athlete of the Week. Hi, I'm Pat Stoetzer. Each week, CMSportsNet recognizes an outstanding player for their contribution to their sport. Meet some of Carroll County student athletes and join us as we celebrate their performance, impact, and outstanding accomplishments. The CMSportsNet Athlete of the Week is sponsored by Genova's To Go, locations in Westminster, Manchester, Hampstead, Hanover, and coming soon, Eldersburg. Genova's To Go, pizza, pasta, subs, and more.
What does it take to cover local high school sports? It takes staff and volunteers, equipment, training, and community support from people like you. You can help by making a donation to the Community Media Center today. Your gift is an investment in our community, our schools, and most of all, our student athletes. We want to expand our coverage to include both boys and girls sports, but we can't do it without your help. So please, make your donation today and help us bring high school sports to every screen in Carroll County.
It wasn't until after I found out that he was using heroin intravenously that I realized why these shoelaces were missing.
It was to the point where, I either honestly wanted to go to jail or die.
With the increase of the fentanyl and the carfentanil that's coming into the county, we are responding to more overdoses.
Addiction is a progressive disease, but how we respond to someone in crisis can sometimes mean the difference between life and death. Hi, I'm Tim Weber. Join me for Real Talk, a frank discussion with real people who have lived through a crisis, parents who have experienced a devastating loss, and first responders and counselors who are on the front line, helping to save lives. Hear the rest of their stories on Real Talk.
Hey there, I'm Pat Stoetzer.
And I'm Michael Duffy, inviting you to join us for The Score and more.
It's our new podcast, and each week we'll talk about high school sports in Carroll County. We'll share information about upcoming games, highlight coaches and athletes, and much more.
We'll even try to have a little fun along the way. Don't miss The Score and More podcast, presented by CMSportsNet.
The Score and More Sports podcast is available online at carrollmediacenter.org and on a variety of podcast channels.
It's Matt Madness as CMSportsNet brings you the best of high school wrestling with live coverage of Carroll County Wrestling Championships. Catch JV on Friday, varsity on Saturday. Plus, join Pat Stoetzer and Michael Duffy for complete coverage of the finals. See who will be named county champions. Watch CMSportsNet's live coverage of the Carroll County Wrestling Championships, February 17th and 18th. We've got you covered. The postgame report is sponsored by Genova's To Go. Locations in Westminster, Manchester, Hampstead, Hanover, and coming soon, Eldersburg. Genova's, pizza, pasta, subs, and more.
All right, welcome back. CMSportsNet Game of the Week. We saw a good boys basketball here at good boys basketball game here at Westminster High School. Final score: Westminster 52, Winners Mill 48. I'm Pat Stoetzer along with Dave Herman. Just going to go and take a look back at the highlights from this one that we saw Westminster win this latest chapter of the city rivalry. And they did it with a really good balanced attack, Coach.
They did. Kind of hit from all areas, hitting threes, drives to the basket. They found each other on the offensive end. And Winners Mill battled too. Dallas Johnson really tried to keep a minute down the stretch, hit some tough shots, had there's a really nice pass inside.
Yeah, and that was Hinkhouse scoring off the glass there from a nice pass by Johnson. But I think Westminster presented itself with the forecourt guys. I mean, we see Chance Burns score here, but you had Kyle Hoot, number 11, Willie Anye, number 14, and of course, John Donald, number 0. They made life tough for Winners Mill tonight. They sure did, and Westminster kind of pulled away in that second quarter into the third.
Yes. Built the lead to 14 points, and you see in the highlights they kind of did it all different ways. Shooting the three, drives the basket. They made their free throws. Just a really nice offensive effort from Westminster.
Winners Mill didn't go away. We said they would stick around in this game. You saw Owen Case hit that three there. That was in the third quarter, and here we see a really good defensive play though coming up here. We liked it when it happened live, and that was Willie Anye with athletic block, but Winners Mill did stay in the game, and here's Dallas Johnson finding his way to the hole.
Yeah, and you like to see that. I mean, Winners Mill was down 14, and maybe not hitting on all cylinders offensively. They didn't quit. Cut at the three down the stretch. Had a couple looks, corner three that didn't go, and both teams battled. It was good to see the kids both ways playing hard.
Nice play there. We saw Camden Cook do that a bunch of times tonight for Winners Mill, but it was just in the end just a little too much Westminster. Another block there by Anya. He come up big a couple times there. And the Owls were able to sort of keep them at bay. Winners Mill kind of kept it close late in the fourth quarter. There's that glass three again. We saw that a couple times tonight, and Mike Osgar scored there. But the Owls just never really lost their composure, kept themselves in control of the game, I thought. It was just a really good, all well-around performance there by Westminster. One of the stars of the game was Willie Anye, senior forward from Westminster. Willie, can you hear us okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, first off, congratulations. You got Pat and Dave back here. They beat you guys the first time. How important was it for you guys to come out in this game strong and get a win on your home court in the city rivalry?
Well, first off, I want to start by thanking our coaching staff for getting us prepared for the game. It had been brewing all week. I mean, we beat Liberty Monday. All respect to that team. They're the best in the county. But obviously, we were on the roll, so we just had to keep the same energy coming in.
What was that like to give them their first loss, Liberty? You mentioned them on Tuesday. Did that give you guys a little momentum heading into this game against your rival, Winners Mill?
100%. That's kind of like the biggest team to beat in the county. So much respect to them and their coaching staff. They have great players, but it was just great to get that win Monday, and it helped boost our morale. Obviously, we haven't had the best of seasons, but we used that to kind of boost us through today.
Well, you're coming off the bench today as one of the reserves, and you definitely made your presence felt. A couple of huge blocks, some good rebounds early on. How pumped were you to contribute tonight in this game and be a part of the reason you guys win?
All shout-out goes to our student section. They kept us in the game. Always. They kept us in the game, and they just got me in the mood for it. So it was one of those games where I just had to bring it all.
When you saw Dallas Johnson, number 1 for Winners Mill, go into the basket, we commented back here just how much you hustled to get that block. It was reminiscent of LeBron in the finals off the backboard. I know you were thinking about that, right, Willie?
Don't do that. Please don't do that.
No, but seriously, just great hustle play by you, yeah.
Yeah, Dallas is my guy. We go way back. It was all fun and games after, but it was just in the moment. What can I say?
Hey, you got one on him there. You got bragging rights on him now. Hey, last question. You just mentioned a minute ago, hey, maybe the season hasn't gone the best for us, wins and losses, but to play like this at the end of the season, it's got to give you guys a big boost. How do you feel as we get ready for the end of the regular season and you head into the playoffs, knowing that, hey, we just beat the county champions, we beat a team that just also beat Man Valley the other day? It's got to make you guys feel pretty good.
Oh, of course. I mean, if we can just keep this up, I mean, we may, what can I say? Hey.
You might not lose again this year.
No, don't jinx it.
No, I'm just kidding, man. Hey, Willie, I appreciate your time. Thanks very much, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Appreciate y'all.
No problem. There he goes, Willie Anya, one of the stars of tonight's game. Westminster beating Winters Mill 52-48. He was ready to go. He's ready to win the rest of the games. But you got to like the attitude from a kid like that, especially in how they've handled this season. Not the best wins and losses for them so far. They've rebounded very well. They beat the county champions on Tuesday, and they beat their rivals tonight.
Absolutely. You love the enthusiasm. It's good to see kids playing hard, and I think it shows a lot about the character of kids when, as you said, the record may not be where they want it to be, but as a coach, you say, we're playing a rivalry game.
Mm-hmm.
You try to break the season down to 1-game increments when the whole season as a whole maybe hasn't gone how you want it. And the enthusiasm that Willie brings is great. And as a coach, it is a joy to see a kid with a smile on his face, with that kind of hustle, and doing all the little things that to make the team successful. That's fantastic to see.
And it rubs off on everybody else, right? Because Winters Mill made that run. You knew they were going to sort of keep themselves in the game, and they did. And credit to Dallas Johnston and Owen Case, but Westminster was not going to let that, let the adversity get to them, and that's a credit to their whole staff there too.
Absolutely, and and early on, both teams were having trouble scoring, and then when Willie Anya came in the game, 2 or 3 offensive rebounds right away, and he sort of got him going offensively, and in the defense, and just to point out a big play again, Jair Donald didn't have his big scoring night, but again, a kid that doesn't hang his head with 15 seconds left to go, and you have Chance Burns on the foul line, who's a fantastic free throw shooter, and again, he could be like, well, I'm not scoring, it hasn't been my night. And he doesn't hang his head, and he goes and gets that offensive rebound, which, it's one of the plays help him win the game.
And a couple possessions before that, just to mention that real quick, you had, I think, was it Ashton Stewart, who got his pocket picked, didn't hang his head, maybe for 1 second, turned right back around and came back and got a steal again.
Right.
And big plays like that you may not see, he scored X amount of points, he did some rebounds. Those are big plays. 1 rebound from Ja Donald at the end of the game, and of course, the nice play there by Stewart, but Chance Burns running their offense. I mean, when they have it going there, I know it hasn't, like we said, it hasn't been the best season for them, but they've got pieces there that they can make it tough for the opposition on any given night.
They do, and and they played well tonight, and as you said, Jair Donald didn't have his big scoring night, so you say, okay, well, they're able to get a solid win against a solid county team when one of their best players didn't have his best night. So as a coach, you're saying, okay, well, if think about when he does have his big night, and just a quick shout out to Winters Mill. Some of the same kinds of plays you come out on the losing side of it, but the big charge down the stretch, Dallas Johnson taking the ball to the basket. Camden Cook, 6 big points, offensive rebounds, gave him a physical presence inside. And so those kind of hustle plays are also what you like to see for a team battling down 14 points.
Right. And something they can take from this game with only a few left in the regular season to try to make some progress in the playoffs. But we had a good one. We had a good city rivalry game. I know you've been a part of a lot of them, and I do appreciate you coming in again and giving us some of your insight and your points. Really appreciate it, Coach. Thanks very much.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
For Dave Herman, I'm Pat Stoetzer. That's going to do it for tonight. CMSportsNet Boys Basketball Game of the Week. Don't worry, though. Next weekend, we're going to have another production. We're going to be back for the County Wrestling Championships. There'll be information out there on our social media channels for that, February 17th and 18th. But until then, and until we see you next time, have a good night.
skill, dedication, leadership. Just a few of the things it takes to be named CMSportsNet's Athlete of the Week. Each week, CMSportsNet recognizes an outstanding player for their contribution to their sport. Meet some of Carroll County student athletes and join us as we celebrate their performance, impact, and outstanding accomplishments. The CMSportsNet Athlete of the Week is sponsored by Genova's To Go, locations in Westminster, Manchester, Hampstead, Hanover, and coming soon, Eldersburg. Genova's To Go, pizza, pasta, subs, and more.
What does it take to cover local high school sports? It takes staff and volunteers, equipment, training, and community support from people like you. You can help by making a donation to the Community Media Center today. Your gift is an investment in our community, our schools, and most of all, our student athletes. We want to expand our coverage to include both boys and girls sports, but we can't do it without your help. So please, make your donation today and help us bring high school sports to every screen in Carroll County.
Hey there, I'm Pat Stoetzer.
And I'm Michael Duffy, inviting you to join us for The Score and more.
It's our new podcast, and each week we'll talk about high school sports in Carroll County. We'll share information about upcoming games, highlight coaches and athletes, and much more.
We'll even try to have a little fun along the way. Don't miss the Score and More podcast presented by CMSportsNet.
The Score and More Sports podcast is available online at carrollmediacenter.org and on a variety of podcast channels.
It wasn't until after I found out that he was using heroin intravenously that I realized why these shoelaces were missing.
You know, it was to the point where, like, I either honestly wanted to go to jail or die.
With the increase of the fentanyl and the car fentanyl that's coming into the county, we are responding to more overdoses.
Addiction is a progressive disease, but how we respond to someone in crisis can sometimes mean the difference between life and death. Hi, I'm Tim Weber. Join me for Real Talk, a frank discussion with real people who have lived through a crisis, parents who have experienced a devastating loss, and first responders and counselors who are on the front line, helping to save lives. Hear the rest of their stories on Real Talk.
It's Matt Madness as CMSportsNet brings you the best of high school wrestling with live coverage of Carroll County Wrestling Championships. Catch JV on Friday, varsity on Saturday. Plus, join Pat Stoetzer and Michael Duffy for complete coverage of the finals. See who will be named county champions. Watch CMSportsNet's live coverage of the Carroll County Wrestling Championships, February 17th and 18th. We've got you covered.